Okay, before we do anything, let's take a breath. Yes. I like to start spaces in a little bit of quiet and connection. And sometimes out of nerves, I just start talking and going into it, but it
Mhm.
always feels better to just take a breath.
Absolutely.
So I'm Lisa McNett for this is really for our community, but it's also going to go on our YouTube channel. So for posterity, anyone who stumbles upon this, I'm the founder of One Breath Institute. And with me is Rachel Elizabeth, who it's really Rachel and Lisa. Rachel Elizabeth and Lisa McNett, so formal. And today I'm here to really introduce Rachel to our One Breath community. Rachel is our brand new mind body integration specialist. And this is a title and a role that Rachel is creating herself. And I'm super excited about it. So, Rachel actually is training with us to become a breathwork facilitator, but she is already a mental health specialist and an amazing space holder. So, Rachel, I would just love to hear first what inspired you to join One Breath Institute as a facilitator to learn the breath.
Mhm. Well, thank you, Lisa, and hello, everybody. Whoever's watching this, hello. Um, I've always been curious about breath, but more so, I like to hold my breath as a child. Um, it really wasn't until when I was in college, and I noticed there were a lot of opportunities where professors would say, let's just take, eight breaths. We're going to do eight in, eight out, to get ready for this group or get ready for this opportunity or whatever we're doing. But there was never any real discussion about how we were using the breath, why we were using the breath. For someone to just sit there and say, take your breaths and then we'll begin, I was like, I guess I'm doing it right. I mean, we're all just taking a breath. I guess I'm doing it right. But, it wasn't enough. Like, it wasn't enough. So that followed me like throughout my time in college. Then, like 5 years past college, was in another program, and it was a somatics program. There's a lot of focus on breath. We talk about breath a lot. We talk about the mechanics of breath and the body and breath, and the unity of breath and the body. And I was fortunate enough to be gifted the opportunity. It culminated around my birthday to attend One Breath. So I was like, hell yeah, because I really need to know, what does it mean when we say, notice your breath, focus on your breath, notice the sensation of your breath. Like, what does that really mean? So I'm almost to my answer. I'm still in it. So I don't fully have like my answer, and I probably won't. Like, this will probably be something that I'm like continually building upon, the deeper you go or the more outer you go. I don't really know which way, but um really, I was brought here by a need, really, to heal and to find my breath and to connect to my body, and um, realize that I have this tool with me always, always. So I'm quite passionate about it at this point.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's so interesting because you were speaking about how in these other programs there was still a focal point on taking a breath, right? But it wasn't until being like at some point into your journey to becoming a facilitator that you're like, "Ah, I have my breath with me always."
hmm
Yeah. Yeah, and I really appreciate what you said about, you're partway to your answer, and you don't know if you'll ever fully find your answer, and I'm curious about that partway piece, though, if there's any, like, any snippet that you feel willing or able to share, you may.
Well, like when we say, well, now when I say, hey Rachel, slow down, slow down. Where's your breath? Find your breath. I find my breath, right? That's a process in and of itself that you don't really realize that you take breathing for granted until you stop doing that. And then it's like, holy guacamole. So it starts with that, with just really, hey, find your breath, find your breath. And then notice your breath. Notice how deep is your breath going? Is it willing? Are you willing to receive the breath? Is there a urgency to expel? What is that about? It's way more than just notice your breath, because each part of that, each way that it manifests, and it's always different, there's like information in there. So that's why I feel like I don't have my answer. Oh, I don't have that answer. I have more questions, but I also have more experience.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just through that process, so whereas in these other programs, it was like a notice your breath here and there, you have really, which is what our main invitation is, so I'm so happy to hear this, you have really created an intimate relationship with your breath in the sense of recognizing and identifying when it's not with you, and then being able to take pause and maybe not just take a breath, but that introspective practice of, okay, what's happening? What's wanting to happen? What does this mean? What does that mean? So, yeah, just that intimate relationship. Mm. And I just this happens to me. So we started One Breath Institute March of last year, so we're over a year now into the creation of One Breath Institute. And every time I start a new class, I'm like, what am I doing? How am I teaching breath work? I don't know anything about this. Like literally, like it comes up, I'm like, I don't know anything about this. I have no idea. What am I doing? And I like have to stop and laugh at myself because I'm like, no, you created this whole program. You know, like so much, but it really I am just in awed and in respect of just how much more gets opened up. Like you said, how much deeper I think it's both, like down and up in every direction. It's so expansive, it's so universal, it's so connecting. Um, and for me, for my experience, it keeps me excited, it keeps me interested. It's not
Mm,
like something that I get frustrated about.
mm,
So it's never boring.
yeah. It's also very empowering to know, like, once you get in that groove and you lock in and you know the feelings, if you're in a funk, you can make that funk bye-bye like that. And it's not a trick. It's not fake. And I'm not just like saying this, like, try it, try it yourself. Like, do the work and test it out and see that it doesn't really change the way you're showing up in the world at every moment, because it does. It changes everything. It's very empowering. Very.
Yes. Yes, thank you. So this is a new role. Like I said, uh we're so excited. We're just so excited because even though again, you don't have to be done with a facilitator training to have the level of experience and awareness and intimate relationship with the breath that you have at this point. And again, what you are going to be doing is supporting our students and supporting our community in a deeper way, which you are well qualified for. And I'm so grateful because this is something that I have wanted to have for our school since we opened, but finding the right person, I couldn't find the right person. The right person had to find us
Hey.
and reach out and say, "Hey, I want to do this." And Debbie and I were just laughing, like, "Of course, of course."
Mhm.
So I would love for you to share with the community what, um, yeah, what it is you are going to be offering.
Well, I've noticed just in my own experience as my own self going through the program, and then as a wellness facilitator, like I notice that as you're transforming, and especially when you're healing a traumatic wound, things come up and it's uncomfortable and maybe scary, maybe overwhelming, maybe re traumatizing. And I was thinking how like needed it is to have a person, if in case you're feeling like you can't or don't want to, and if you're going to quit or you're just like no, or this isn't for me, or I can't do it, I'm about support and empowerment, right? Those are my two key things, support and empowerment. I believe so strongly that um, every traumatic wound can be healed. Everyone. There's not a trauma that's too big or too much. We are deeply resilient beings, deeply, deeply resilient. And change and growth past trauma is possible. I'm living it myself. So it is possible. And I've had the mindset of, I've been through too much. I'm just broken. I'm just the throwaway person. I'm just nothing and nobody. And that is completely not true. I think there's an expectation that healing means you return to someone or something that you were. And once you experience something that's deeply traumatizing, you are changed. You are changed. You are changed physically. You are changed mentally. You are changed emotionally. You are changed frequency wise. Your energy is changed. You're changed. That is true. But you're not broken and you're not done for the count, so to speak. It's like getting rid of that expectation of returning to a someone that you thought you were and growing into who you really are. It's like an opportunity to really grow into who you really are. But that part is precarious sometimes for many people, for myself included. Those steps are kind of out of sync sometimes. But that's okay because there are people who are happy to just help as you take your steps in all directions and knowing you are supported, you are safe, you are loved. We are here. You matter. You exist. You are real. Your experiences are real. So, did I even answer your question? Because I don't even know.
You answered it beautifully and then some, and something that you really touched on that I truly appreciate is you have had your own traumas. you yourself have felt broken.
Mm.
And I'm just highlighting that piece for everyone because sometimes, oftentimes, when people who feel broken or when people feel like they have a lot of trauma, and then they see people here in a space talking about how you can heal, you can meet your full potential.
Mm.
There can be this, and this has been me, right? You don't know what I've been through, like, or you don't know what it's like, this kind of feeling. And so I appreciate, just bringing in that piece of you have been doing your own healing, you have experienced your own trauma, and that there are still times that you yourself want and need that support and that reminder, those reminders, and that's part of what inspires you
Mm-hmm.
to be that support for other people.
Mm-hmm. And also the frustration of waiting so long to find the care that I actually needed, because there is a lot of care providers out there, but are they really qualified to meet you where you're at? Because, like, in the medical world, they're not really qualified to meet me where I'm at. They want to throw diagnoses at me, and they want to throw medications at me, and they want to keep me in this lockstep with suffering and toxic drugs and having to keep talking about the story. There's no momentum to get out of there. I don't want to go around and around and around. I want to be rid, free, above, past, not to just make, oh, that, I'm over that, but to really be able to say, I understand that now. I understand that, and I'm grateful that I survived. And I don't need to tell you what I've been through. Like, I don't need to tell you. It literally, the actual story doesn't matter. There are some people still, though, and this is also where I come in. They need to be heard. Their story needs to be heard, and I'm happy to listen. I'm happy to listen until you no longer need to repeat the horror. I can hold that for you or with you.
Yeah, so much in that. Um, what do I want to speak to first? I think, yeah, that there really is something to the story, and as a breathwork practitioner, and somebody who has been myself working with trauma in various ways for a long time now, but not not medically trained to do so. Just working with mentors or taking courses here and there, or just having the opportunity to volunteer in situations. But coming back to the breath work piece, I've heard through trainings that I've been a part of, like, there's no room for the story. Like, we aren't here for the story. It's really about the body. Like, let the body speak and let the body find that. And we are not here. I've heard other, breathwork trainers say, we aren't here for anybody to tell us anything. Like, we breathe with them and then they go find a counselor, they go find a therapist, they go find somebody qualified. And for me, and with introspective breath work, it's like the body holds the story. The body really, I truly believe that I don't need to know your whole, like, list of everything. The body holds the story, but I also do need to be able to communicate with you through what needs to be spoken and what needs to be shared as well. But beyond that, that piece of, you sparked all of these memories for me, because people oftentimes arrive with the story, right? And so just as that, person that I have been, I'm like, I'm not the therapist. Like, we're not going to just go right into the story now. We're going to go into the body and we're going to see what the body says. But there's a reason that people come with the story, right? Like, it's because it really hasn't been held. it really hasn't been heard.
Integrated.
Integrated, integrated, integrated. So yeah, so I think that's because I'm like, well, we help people even by not getting into that story. And I think it's that piece of because we are working with the body and it is helping with that integration piece. But there's more. We were talking a little bit before this, and I would love for you to share a little bit more about what you were saying then about like how only one thing, like you can't just go to talk therapy, right? Like the body needs what?
Yeah, you can't just like try to heal your mind. You can't just try to heal your thinking mind. You need to heal your mind, your body, your energy body, your spirit body. You are so much more than thoughts. In fact, your thoughts are not even you. Like that's not even you. The wisdom is in this. All here, this is where the wisdom is. This is a tool. And like you can have a hammer, right? And you can do some carpentry, build a house with it. You could also have a hammer and throw it across the room and like smash something and be destructive. It's the hammer is it's you who's putting the intention on that hammer. Your brain is like that hammer, and if there's let's say distress or unease or a blockage or a lack, you're going to hear it up here through anxiety, anger, depression. It's going to come out in all these cantankerous kind of ways, like throwing the hammer, but that's not really what's happening. Like whenever someone's like having like a really acute moment, you know, you got to get in the body. You get in the body. I'm not saying don't use your words. Use your words. And we're going to sort through those words. And we're going to get to the core of the things because then you can integrate that all inside of you. It's not about like not having the thoughts. Like I've been guilty. I'm not going to think about that. Oh, nope, not even going to think. I'm fine. Oh, I'm fine. Like I've been that. I'm no longer that. Like I will still get um an unwelcome memory. Something can still drop right into my head. I can feel my eyeballs start to wibble, and I know that I'm about to dissociate, and I can go, nope. And I can, my eyes are wibbling. They either want me to see something or they want me to not see something. I'm here with you, eyes, and immediate, like I get in there immediate, and that stops most of that reactivity, you know?
Yeah, you're really speaking to that truth, for lack of a better word, but that truth that most of us seek to avoid the pain and seek to disconnect from the pain, and that there is always some sort of physical sensation or physical like indicator
Mm.
when something is being triggered, a memory that we're consciously or unconsciously aware of. And when we go, nope, not gonna, then the body has to speak louder, right? And
Mhm.
then that's where that potential dissociation or something else might happen. Whereas you are so connected to your body now that you recognize the eyes and are like, okay,
What are you saying to me right now? I'm listening, and really slowing down enough to give your body that type of respect. It's like that's how you learn self trust. That's how you learn your own agency. That's how you become embodied. That's how you are empowered. So it's just little steps like that. They add up and you start feeling well, not good, not better, just well, present, interested, goal directed.
Curious is a word that's coming up for me.
Definitely.
Whew. Yes. I just want to take a breath. And really let that land. Slowing down enough to be present and able to sense the subtlest of bodily fluctuations, which are messages. So I imagine in your one-to-one sessions, you'll be helping people slow down.
A lot of slowing down.
Yeah. Hmm. Tell me a little bit about diagnoses.
Oh,
Just
oh,
a little bit.
what a convoluted mess that is. On one hand, it's great to have like a roadmap, like, oh, if you're this, and this, you're this. If you're this, and this, you're this. Like, that's great, yay. But it's about pathology. And in my view and experience, there isn't, well, there's a few that don't have anything, or that are more on the physical side, like when they have things in there like learning disabilities. I don't like those words. Don't like those words. um but all of dis-ease, all of it, I don't know a depressed person who hasn't been deeply traumatized. I don't know an anxious person that hasn't been deeply traumatized. I just don't. um I'm diagnosed with PTSD. That's a trauma. That's, you like, there it is, trauma. But it's, all of it is trauma. All of it is trauma. Lack of connection, lack of belonging. um Culturally, like in our society, there are people that are left by the wayside. Like, we are not a just society. We are not unified. We don't value people equally. Like, it's clear. It's clear. I wish more people would just pay attention and speak out about that. All those, the systems that are in place just create more oppression, more pain, more struggle. And then you wonder why people are not doing well. You wonder why. That's why. That's why. So, you know, I would like to think there was a time when diagnoses was helpful. And I guess if you're into the medical model of emotional struggle, let's say, they would be helpful. But I'm just not buying into that anymore at all. Everything is a manifestation of what you're experiencing or what you have experienced. everything. Like I used to say, like when I was like 15, 16, I would get in this huge argument and I would say, I'm reflecting what I've experienced. Like, can you wake up? Like, my behavior as a child is reflecting my experience. So it's that adage about, um, can you see the man behind the behaviors kind of a thing. I think that's in relation to addiction and addiction as well. Uh, Aside from the people that were um, kind of sideways into addiction by taking prescribed medications the way they were meant to be taken and becoming physically dependent on these horrible, horrible drugs. Aside from that, addiction is a manifestation of pain. It's pain, real pain, the kind that makes you not want to participate in life anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were very aware at 15, 16 to
Mm,
be able to recognize that and speak it out, that I am a reflection of you, really. I'm a reflection of your behavior. I'm a reflection of whatever these interactions were.
yep.
I just want to acknowledge that, acknowledge you for that being that level of being tuned in. And it's something that I see. Hmm. Yeah. It's like you were always meant for this. It's like you were always meant for this, it feels like, right? Like like sometimes we were talking a little bit before and you were talking about, even in this talk that we've had, you touched upon your years of going through schooling, of going through college and really learning that mental health model. Um, and like going through this process of learning it all only to like realize, no, I need to just like throw all of this away. And what I'm connecting to now is that it's like you always knew something like intuitively, like that voice, and then still like, but I'm gonna go this way because
Mhm,
that's what we do, right? That's
mhm.
like, and
Circling
then
around.
like coming back to this and more. I mean, it's not like not a backwards, but a more like embodied truth. And that embodied truth and awareness, I heard you say, I wish more people would speak out. And so I want to thank you for speaking out.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for using your voice and for sharing your truth. Yeah.
Gotta wiggle that out a little bit.
Right? Yeah. Well, for those who know me or know One Breath Institute and who may not really know Rachel yet, you probably see the resonance here. You probably heard myself and Debbie speak about essentially the fishbowl of trauma. Is I'll just come back to that analogy that I often use that I think gives an image. And yeah, Dr. Gabor Mate and Bessel van der Kolk, these are two of the leaders. I'm sure there are more that you are more familiar with than I am.
You're right there. Those are my heroes right there.
They really have done tremendous work to use their voices, and I feel like it is now culturally becoming more known, accepted, aware. People are seeking out um, more what I'll call I don't want to call it an alternative modality, but a holistic, right? It's really
Mhm.
holistic, and that is the thing about breath work. That's the thing about introspective breath work, right? We're still creating it. Like
Mhm.
introspective breath work is a philosophy. So within that philosophy, it is healing and connection and embodiment of mind, body, spirit, mental health, physical health, all of it. And so there's space for all of these different modalities to come through, and we give freedom for practitioners such as yourself to bring your voice in to the modality and to bring the modality into your work, and we get to keep co-creating and together using our voices and our platforms to, yeah, to reach more people and to help more people recognize that I am not all these diagnoses. I'm not a depressed, bipolar person with anxiety and ADHD who needs to be on medications for the rest of my life.
I cannot tell you how many times I've been screaming and yelling, I'm not deficient in Adderall. I'm not deficient in Adderall. What makes you think you're going to help me with Adderall? Like, that doesn't, hello, that's not what I need to learn how to use my brain. Like, to learn how to use my brain in the way that it runs. Because there's so much like coercion and the force of, like, especially with children, like if they're different, like I'm neurodivergent, I'm different and I have different needs. I don't have special needs. I have my needs like everybody else does. And trying to throw drugs at me so that I'm more like everybody else, who does that benefit? Does that benefit me? Really? Does that benefit me? Or does that benefit you all? Like, who does that benefit? And why is that okay?
Well, I don't think it is okay.
Right.
I don't think it is okay at all.
Right.
Yeah. So what are we going to do about it?
Changing the world, baby. We are changing the world. We're changing things to be more just, more holistic, more of the earth, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and a big part of it for me is also connection. For everyone is connection, but right now I'm thinking like, yes, through connecting with the earth, connecting with myself, my introspective practices, healing my trauma that's here, using our voices, right? Like saying, wait, no, there's another way. Here's these more holistic practices. And part of that is connection.
Huge
And,
part. Huge part. Yeah.
and I'll come back to slowing down to the speed of love. I've heard this
Oh,
before. I don't know where it originally came from
I love
to, yeah, but slowing down to the speed of love hit me when you were speaking because I'm like, you know, and this is no disrespect to you at all, but when you said I'm neurodivergent, I'm like, is that even like, right? Like,
like,
is
what is
that
that?
even like a label or a diagnosis that really needs to be there? Like every person is different and every person is unique. And if we were to slow down to the speed of love,
Does any of that even matter? Right? Right. I want that world. Like, I want that world. I want that world where I don't ever feel compelled that I have to explain to someone that I'm different and why I might be acting a certain way. I don't ever want to feel like that. And I still do. I still feel like that. Like I still find myself saying, do I have to tell? Do I have to disclose this about me? When what? I have to disclose a medical label to explain my personality or to explain the way I learn or the way I operate. No, but I'm still, because I face a lot of adversity because of those differences still. So I'm still unwinding, like I'm unwinding from that. And also, like, I watched one of your, well, I've watched all except one of the podcasts, and the one about when you're talking about star seeds, and so I went up, like, I do everything extra. Like, I can't help it. When something interests me, I'm immediately like, what is this? Who is this? What else can I learn about this? What does this mean? What does this mean? And I'm pulling it all up. And I was doing all this reading, and I found at the bottom someone was describing the different type of star seeds, different type of people. And there was this one, and it said, oftentimes, whatever, who I can't remember which kind, these are the children who are diagnosed with autism. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I would love to embody that. I'm not there yet. I'm scared. Like, I'm a product of my environment like everybody else, and I'm trying to undo that. It's almost like a wet sweater. Trying to get out of that, you know? But
I
I
got
will.
to chill when you said that because it's like it's heavy. It's it was like cold, heavy, damp, and cold and
Yeah.
constricting. I was like,
Yes.
ugh, that doesn't
Yes.
feel good. That doesn't feel good. And when you want to go more into star seeds, we can. So we'll just side that. But something um since you're bringing it into the conversation, I hope it's okay to just say this piece as well. You've I don't believe that you learned your diagnoses of being autistic until being an adult, and so of course that changes everything for you, right? Because it helps to answer some questions for you, and so in that sense, like that kind of thing, um, I don't is it a diagnosis? Like that I'm just gonna call it a label, like that kind of label, like labels can sometimes really help us because when it fits and when we like can then dive in and read all about what this label means and we can connect to it and we can better understand ourselves, it's like, ah, so it has its benefit, it has its usefulness. And then I see the other side of what you're saying too, of this like, okay, well, now that I know this about myself and it explains why I've been like XYZ in the past, now I know in these situations I can tell people this is why I'm XYZ. But do I really even have to?
I love that. Yes. All of that. Yes. Like, in some ways it's been liberating to have an understanding and understanding of my cluster of traits, let's say, the way I present in certain situations. The strengths, I like the strengths model. Like, my strengths are awesome. Like, I wouldn't trade them for nothing. The areas where I struggle, it's very difficult with communicating with others on the fly. Like, when I don't have a role and know how I'm showing up, it's like just day to day engagement. There's a lot of miscommunication. My brain is super hyper literal. I don't understand a lot of humor because it's not funny. But you might find it funny and I'll find it mean, or it won't make sense to me. Like, there's a lot of ways that it causes a struggle. Like, even in my long-term relationship, I have to sometimes, remind my partner, um, this is one of those things where you're not quite understanding why I'm asking this question so many times, because I'm really not understanding, and I'm just trying to get to the understanding of what we're actually saying. So I do still have to remind, but whenever I have that opportunity, it ends up helping him understand me a little bit better. So it doesn't matter like what the label is. It's more that, hey, this is my need. This is my need. So if you could just meet me where I'm at, we can, resolve this discussion, kind of a thing.
And it feels like I can relate to that. Like how, it feels like you have taken this opportunity to really dial into communicating, making sure that your communications are being met, right? Like you're understanding the other person, the other person is understanding you, and it feels to me, it just feels to me, I don't know if this is true or not, but it feels to me like maybe based on recognizing this difference about you, right? Like not understanding humor or maybe not getting things that people are saying, um, has given you this inspiration to really reach other, like really reach for that, like making sure that we're communicating. But how many people like think that they're like that other people are getting their jokes and they're really not, right? Like like how much is this happening between people, regular people, who maybe get the humor but just don't stop and take the time to really make sure, right? To really make sure that communication was there. Um yeah, so it it's it feels like you have taken the opportunity to just really deepen this deepen your communication, right? Deepen your willingness to really get people.
I love people. Not because I love people, but I'm fascinated by people. People fascinate me, and I've been watching people my whole life. I don't like to participate so much with people because I don't feel like I am like others to the degree where it feels safe, or comfortable. So, like in big open spaces, like at a concert, no. Like, there's a lot going on. Like, no, I think not. But um, there are many. I still care about how I'm showing up in the world. It doesn't matter if I'm neurodivergent or not. I still want to take responsibility for how I'm showing up in the world. And part of that means not just being authentic and speaking my truth, but being able to hear and really being able, not crumbling and not hiding and running away. It doesn't mean that I'm going to land successfully with everyone. That's that's everybody's fate in this world. Communication is difficult unless you learn how to meet others where they're at. Like, it's about that. So I've had to, on one hand, learn how to meet others where they're at, while reminding myself to be real, be true in the moment, and just not like, people aren't attacking me because they don't understand me. And if they act, oh, she's a weirdo, or she's crazy, which I had a lot of, that used to hurt me like tremendously, because I'm often misunderstood. But the truth is, I can be me and be fine even when people don't get me or don't understand me or don't care to. I can still be fine, and that's taken a long time. That's taken like my lifetime to now, to really fully get that message. And I'm probably still honing that. Like that'll be an all lifelong journey, hopefully, because when you're focusing on something, you're increasing those skills. I don't want to just take for granted, oh, I'm a great communicator. No, I want to keep working my skills. Who I imagine who I could reach. The better I get with communication, the reach is like
Never ending.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. And you said, what did you say? Whew, my brain just, there's so much, that piece of, well, I'm just going to use my own words, but that piece of, used to care what other people thought, what other people said, used to be really hurtful if somebody said she's crazy or she's different or whatever. And just that inner peace, that self-love that you have found, that yes, I agree. It's a regular lifelong journey just like communication and healing. But to get to that place where you are now of like love myself, appreciate myself, know myself, like that's let's just get everybody there, right?
Right.
Like that's it, I think, because when we come to that place, right? Like until we get to a place where the world does slow down and people do truly take the space to really seek to deepen connections and take the space to allow the children to be, we need to first come to this place for ourselves, right? Like that's really where it starts, in my opinion. Like if I can come here for myself, then I'm going to meet others this way with this compassion.
Mhm.
And then those parents become more conscious parents, and then those children become more conscious children. And that's
Or
why I say it's
they're
endless.
able to be their conscious selves and not
Right.
learn the masking and like the coping mechanisms that take you away from your embodiment, you know?
Because that's really what it is, isn't it? I mean, children come in as these bright, shiny, beautiful
Perfect.
beings
Mhm.
that are then
Corrupted.
so, yes, let's take a breath.
Let's do it.
So, you guys will be seeing a lot more of Rachel and Rachel's offerings. And right now, starting out, Rachel's available for student sessions. So, if you are a student of One Breath Institute, you have the opportunity very soon to get onto Rachel's schedule, included in your tuition, to get onto Rachel's schedule where she will hold space for you to
To be
uncorrupt yourself.
yeah,
To be.
to explore, to journey, to show up, to arrive, to come home.
Come home. So thank you so much, Rachel, for today, and thank you for everything that you are bringing with you to One Breath Institute.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.